Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I've seen discussed quite often within the independent film community, and that is to make a big budget short film or to make a micro budget feature film. So I've had the luxury of actually doing both. So I want to share my experience and what the result of each of those endeavors were, and kind of just give my insight and input because I know a lot of people might have that question of like, hey, what should I do? Maybe you saved up some money, or maybe you have an investor, um, and you do have a budget that you want to put into something. So here's my 2 cents. Depending on what your ultimate goal is, the short film might be a better choice. Let's just use the example of $50,000. Okay, if you have $50,000, you can either make that short film and make that short film look like a Hollywood production, even though it's just going to be, I don't know, 10 minutes or 6 minutes, right? That is better for you than to use that 50,000 and try to stretch it and make a feature film, because your feature film is going to look low budget because you're going to be stretched at every single aspect of trying to make a feature with that tiny amount of money. Whereas with a short film, that's more than enough for most short films. So what is your end goal, right? If your end goal is, let's say you're a writer already, and you have some connections with studios, and but you want to be a director as well on top of the writing. Nobody's going to let you direct something unless you have something to show them that, hey, you can direct. In that case, you should probably put all that money into the short film, make it look fantastic, like it was a Hollywood production, and that's the impression that you're going to give to executives, production companies, and investors as well, right? They're going to look at that and they're going to be, oh, okay, if I put my money into this guy or girl, that's the type of production value I'm going to get. Because a lot of times people can't imagine beyond of like, oh, well, he only had $10,000 to make that film. That's why it looks. Nobody's gonna take those excuses. They see what they see, and that's what they believe it is. That's one example of when I would do a short film. The other thing is, if you're really trying to show your film as like a showcase for you as a director, like you're trying to get jobs, you're trying to sell yourself as a director afterwards. Most of the time, nobody's gonna sit down and watch your entire feature film. Okay, at the least they'll probably watch like the trailer. So if your trailer looks low budget, they're gonna think your entire movie just sucks. Um, so a short film is a great way to get people to watch it, because no matter who you send it to, they'll probably watch it, because if it's less than 10 minutes, a lot of the Hollywood executives, producers, they really don't have that much time. So you want to send them something that they can just watch, within 10 minutes, because that's all they have time for. Let's use the example of my short film, Where Blood Lies. I made this short film. It's on my YouTube channel. You can take a look at it. For me, I put a lot of money into that, and it was actually worth it in the end, because that short film got me more meetings than any of my feature films. Anytime I sent my feature film to like an investor or whoever, I don't think they even watched it. But my short film, I've had like the showrunner at The Walking Dead watch that and give me great feedback on it. I've had executives watch it. Like, it's so easy for me to just be like, hey, here's my writing sample or whatever, and by the way, here's like a short film that I did. I'm also a director. Boom. You can just really like send that to people very easily, and it's a great way to kind of showcase your skill sets. On top of that, that short film went viral online, so it got a ton of views, and actually I was able to get. I had actually the short film was licensed to a production company. They paid for the option rights. So a short film is also a piece of IP, and that's something that some people maybe don't really think about right off the bat. That once you make that short film, if it's a good proof of concept, like that's an IP that can be optioned by studios, and they're actually looking for these things. So that one company optioned it, and then like before that option even ran out, I had another producer who works with Netflix. Like, he was interested in the short film to option it and to develop it as their own thing, right? I don't think they wanted me to be a part of it or anything, but they liked the concept. They wanted to get that. So we were in talks with that, but we had to wait for this other option to run out. Long story short, it kind of got dragged out a little bit, and they kind of got busy with some other stuff. But just through that experience of them actually showing interest, and they were showing that to their agents, and it kind of got circulated within their network of people, and there was a lot of interest for that project. And I think like the viral aspect that it got that many views definitely helped, but it wasn't actually because of that they actually found it. It was because I already knew this person and they just happened to watch the short film. Actually, somebody showed that guy my short film, and that's how he kind of like, saw it, right? So your film doesn't have to go viral for Hollywood to notice. You can send it to somebody and they can share it with someone, and that's a great, way to kind of get your name out there. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys the opposite end of that, where you have a lot of filmmakers that are saying like, oh, why would you make a short film? Like, nobody wants to make short films. People only care about feature directors, right? That you have to make a feature. Once you make a feature, you're like, legitimized as like a real director, whatever it might be, right? So let me tell you a little bit of something about that, because I actually did that. My first film was feature film. I didn't even make a short film. I just went straight to feature film because I had the same kind of mindset, right? In those type of instances, you really have to be careful. And also, what is your end goal? If your end goal was like, hey, there's an investor, they invested $50,000 and they're trying to make a profit from this, okay, for sure, like you're gonna have to make a feature film because that's the only way you're gonna get a distribution. Be very careful when you make a feature film for a micro budget. You have to make it within a certain types of genre, okay? Do not try to make like like an indie drama or whatever. Like it has to be like a horror movie. I think some of the found footage films work quite well for micro budget because we don't care about the actual cinematic quality of it. In fact, you could shoot it on like a little digital camcorder. So be careful of the genre. You want to aim for a genre that will forgive the low budget quality of it. And make sure you know what your audience is going to be, that you have an audience base. And the audience base is not going to be, oh, people who like dramas. It's like, no, it needs to be like a very specific audience that you can actually tap into. For example, let's say it was a film about, like Olympic wrestling or something, right? Like, there's like a sports fan base around that. So you really have to make the film cater to that audience, first of all, and then bring in the rest of the broader audience. But I think that goes for any kind of films. You really have to understand like who your audience is going to be, or else nobody's going to want to watch your film, and the distributors don't even want to distribute your film because they understand that. The distributors understand audience and marketability. So with a feature film, I did my example from my feature film was I made a movie about kind of like Boys in the Hood, but with Asian gangs. And I put like this Asian gangster rapper in it. His name is Thai Viet G. He's actually blown up now in Vietnam. But my film was very niche. It was like for Asian Americans, but specifically like that kind of culture, which wasn't really represented in the community, at least not on film. So I think for me that was how I kind of got in. Like I knew that there was an audience for that already, no matter how small it might have been, but that they were going to be passionate about the film. Ty had his fan base already, and there was a lot of buzz around the film as I went into some of the Asian American film festivals. Like I didn't go to Sundance or anything crazy. I literally just targeted the community that I made my film for. And yeah, ultimately that film went on over many, many, many years, has done quite well. It went from iTunes to Amazon to different VOD platforms. I actually self-distributed that film. I didn't go with a distributor because they were actually trying to screw me. Luckily, I didn't do that because, I actually sold DVDs in the beginning for that movie and did my own theatrical screenings. Like I would book out a theater, like four-wall theater, and do screenings. and market and promote. It was a lot of work, but I learned so much from that. Like if I had done that all over again, I probably would have done it a lot better. But long story short, you can do a micro budget feature, but just know that like the quality of that movie is gonna be sacrificed because you're stretching it out, right? But if you are trying to make a profit on that movie, you're gonna want to do a micro budget feature. But if you're trying to use that as a showcase of like, I'm a director and I want to direct for big studios, like that's not gonna cut it unless you get really smart with how you make that low budget feature, to really be able to do something that looks still good in terms of the quality of it, but still tell an amazing story. I think at the end of the day, that's really what matters, is like the story and how you execute that. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned something from this. Leave a comment below of your own experiences or what you think of this. I'd love to hear different people's experiences because, of course, like what I'm telling you guys is just one perspective. But yeah, give me a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, peace.